You are listening to the Lucha Central Podcast Network. And now, Lucha Central Weekly.
Hello and welcome to the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast. This is the podcast that lets you know all the latest happening in the world of Lucha Libre. We cover news and events from the week that was, talking Mexico-based promotions and top independents, along with luchador-related news from throughout the United States. The Lucha Central Weekly Podcast is part of the Lucha Central Podcast Network on luchacentral.com. This podcast and others from the network are also available on all major podcast streaming platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbay, Speaker, and more. I'm Miranda Morales, one of the co-hosts of the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast, and let me introduce my two co-hosts, the dashing one, Mr. Dusty Murphy, and the one and only who? Brendan Barr. Welcome to this week's show. Hello and welcome back to the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast. This is Miranda Morales here, being joined, of course, by the dashing one, Mr. Dusty Murphy. And who? I'm talking about Brendan Barr.
Hey.
Force a habit that we just do that. And we have a guest with us at this time, a man that we've talked about on this show quite a few times, and we're really excited to have him on. He is a bad man, a man who you may be familiar with if you are a fan of the Lucha Central Podcast Network as the host of Straight Out of the Bodega. You can see him featured on Championship Wrestling presented by CarShield as the United Wrestling Network television champion and a former United World Tag Team champion whose partner, well, someone we've already talked to, Danny Limelight. He is also the current Pro Wrestling Revolution open weight champion. Please welcome the bully from the bodega, the one-man Lucha Gang, King Fat Boy himself, Papo Esco. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, that is how you introduce somebody. I appreciate that. I feel like a big deal now. I'm gonna say I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
You are a big deal.
Yeah.
That's you. Those are facts. Fact after fact after fact that I just listed.
Right?
Well, where's not
Sometimes I don't even believe it. It's like one of them things where it's like, is this a dream? I don't know. You know?
This is your life, Papo Esco. Welcome.
This is my life. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm finally here.
Well, we are. I mean, we've mentioned we have talked about you. Whether it's you as your podcast or, your work with the United Wrestling Network and, Pro Wrestling Revolution, all of that we're going to get into in just a few minutes. But, the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast, we go coast to coast, north and south, and all over. So we want to be able to introduce our listeners to you. So for those listeners who may not be familiar with your work, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and also your journey coming into pro wrestling?
Well, for those of you who don't know who I am the Beast from the Bodega. I graduated from Bully to Beast. We'll say that right now. Gorilla Ray Gordo, King Fat Boy, Papo Esco. I've been wrestling for, a blur amount of years, and, it's been a wild ride. You want me to tell you how I got into this? I'll tell you how I got into this, and hopefully it spawns the result that I got from why I got into it. I had kids young, so my kids are in college right now, and they were teenagers. I used to tell them all the time, look, man, you can do anything you want in life. You put your mind to it. Anything, doesn't matter. Write it down, cluster it, set your goals, figure out the avenues to get there. and then go get there, chase it down, and don't stop until you catch it. Well, one of these days they was like, whatever, old man, giving me the, haha, dad, you're just talking all that parent stuff, don't want to hear it. Okay, cool. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something so far-fetched to you that you're going to be so surprised that I did it and that I can put my mind to anything and actually achieve it. So I thought about it, I wanted to be a professional wrestler since I was a kid, but I wasn't the best kid, so I used to get in trouble a lot. So that kind of took a pause. So I actually got into wrestling because I wanted to prove to my kids that you can do anything you want in life if you put your mind to it. So I found a school, I got trained up, and the rest is history. Everything you see right now, all the stuff you see on the TV, all the titles I've won, every single opportunity I've been afforded, by the grace of God, I tell everybody I did it because I wanted to prove to my kids that they could do anything they want in life if they just put their mind to it. So I'd like to give you this extravagant story about me, starting when I was 18 and going through the motions and grinding and all this stuff like that. But I really did it on a fluke, man. I was trying to prove to my kids that there ain't any amount of thing in life that you can't do, that you can't achieve, So that's a lesson to the people that are listening. No matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, you want to do something, you could do it. You just got to make your way, So.
Well, now let's get one thing straight here. You keep using the word fluke, and it's not a fluke. You showed up, you did the work. So.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. I don't want any listeners out there having any excuse. Like, we have guys in the wrestling schools up here in Seattle that are older than me showing up and working on it. And I'm sure that we'll continue to have that happen. And so, age isn't an issue. It's all about dedication and time. And I'm rambling, but because I love to talk about schools, so I'm just going to jump right into this question we got here. You in addition to working with Pro Revolution as their champion right now, you also work with the school a little bit. So do you want to talk a little bit about either or both of those things?
Yeah, man, that's my home. I mean, I don't, you can go to any podcast I've ever been on, or you can ask me directly, and I'll tell you that Pro Wrestling Revolution is my home. It's where I started. It's where I got my start. Gabriel Ramirez, took me in as one of his own, and we've been off to the races ever since. I've gotten a lot of great training, through Pro Wrestling Revolution Training Academy, from Vinny Massaro to Skyde to Vaquero Fantasma, Lady Apache, even, on a smaller scale, but still spurts of months at a time, Super Crazy, Ricardo Rodriguez, Jesus, so many different people have come in and out, and I've had the opportunity and been afforded the opportunity of being able to sit under the learning tree of so many people. Recently, it's not really training per se, but I mean, I'm still under the learning tree of people like, Aaron Stevens, who I use his wealth of knowledge, as much as I can. And I've been afforded so much training, and it all starts with Pro Wrestling Revolution Training Academy. Pro Wrestling Revolution, the promotion, is the first wrestling promotion that I ever worked for, and I've been doing it ever since. And through hard work, and I will say hard work because Gabe makes sure that his students feel that you have to earn your spot. Whereas a Super Astro or Bestia or somebody might come in and just immediately get a spot off of their name recognition. We got to work our tails off just to get that spot, and I'm proud of it, the hard work I put in, because I was able to become a Pro Wrestling Revolution Tag Team Champion with Arkady Fedorov, and now I'm running with the open weight title. So
yeah, I was there. That was a great match and a fun night. So
appreciate that. Yeah.
Very cool. We often talk about how lucha libre varies throughout the United States. Like, we talk about how there's West Coast lucha and there's Texas lucha and how different they are. But how would you describe the lucha libre scene on the West Coast, and how do you see yourself like as part of this scene?
Well, I'm definitely a hybrid. You know,
Yeah.
I am able to run lucha with the best of them, and I put my reputation on that. You know, I can get it. I feel like right now, you know, as opposed to any other time, I can get in there with any luchador, and we can put together something special. But I'm more of a hybrid. You know, I run an American style. I run a lucha style. I incorporate both into my my arsenal and just how I move, my mannerisms, and every single detail inside the ring for me. And again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but I owe it all to Revolution. You know,
Yeah.
Gabe preaches a hybrid style. You know,
Yeah. He gets it.
we have an American curriculum that I train, that I'm a trainer along with Robert Thompson, and we have a strictly lucha libre curriculum with Vaquero Fantasma right now, and we melt together the both. You know, so I feel like that right there is the California or West Coast culture of lucha. You know, the more south you get, the more traditional it becomes. But the
Right.
more north you get, or even central, you know, you start seeing the hybrid style. And even when you go West Coast or East Coast, Midwest, things like that, you start seeing the hybrid style. Um, I think that's the way to go. I mean, you see Penta and Bestia and Mecha Wolf and all these guys who are traditional lucha when they're down in Mexico and those areas. But when they come up here, they automatically incorporate that hybrid style, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah,
think
you
Penta
No,
know,
wrestles
I
very
think
differently here.
I think that's
Yeah.
the way it's going. Yeah, excuse me.
we talk about that a lot. We talk about how they kind of the really good ones that like the ones you just name dropped. They all go for more of that hybrid style that kind of works for everybody. And yeah, the guys in the north are doing it for sure. I've seen it out of Monterey.
Mm.
I'm just rambling now. Miranda, I think it's your turn.
No, it's a really good point about also how the hybrid style is getting a lot more national recognition. And as someone who's wrestled a lot for championship wrestling, that has a presence in California and Memphis, and it's growing. How do you see hybrid style with that, you know, the touch of American and lucha libre making an impact throughout the United States, whether that's on television with AEW or just across promotions? Is that how lucha can grow, or is there still struggles with having lucha libre being as well received sometimes as, say, Japanese strong style of wrestling that seems like it has such a big fan base?
Well, in my opinion, you know, and I could be wrong, but you know, it's just my opinion. Um, the hybrid style that's you know performed today it dates back decades. I mean, remember when Paul Heyman brought in all the luchadors into ECW?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And if you really go back and you watch ECW, Eddie Guerrero, Psychosis, Rey Mysterio, you know, those guys, you'll see that there's spurts of lucha, but I don't know if it was Paul Heyman or whoever, but somebody had the wherewithal to say, you know what, we don't want to bombard them with a completely different style that honestly is you know, some people may like it, some people may not, but we're going to incorporate some American style in there just so people are familiar with it and they'll see something new. You know, I mean, all these hypes, you know, the Ranas off the top rope, the Spanish flies, all these moves that you see in AEW and to your point, Ring of Honor and all the, you know, MLW, it all spawns from lucha. And,
Absolutely.
and the American style is riddled in it, even way back in the 90s, you know, because somebody knew that the
Yeah.
American people are probably not going to take too well to lucha libre as a traditional style. But if you were to incorporate that into the American style that they've been widely used to for, I don't know, since the beginning of the inception of pro wrestling, then it was going to be something fresh, something new, So I think that, traveling all the way back in time to 2022, I think that base came from that. And the only thing that is going to change from the 90s to now is the creativity. These guys are getting so much more creative.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are getting so much more
Yeah.
athletic. And the reality is that is what is going to take that, lucha American hybrid style, even they're throwing in the strong style into the mix, so it's like a hybrid of all three. It's like a melting pot,
Yeah.
And, it's through the creativity and the athleticism of these new kids coming up and that's gonna take it all to the next level. But it's really not gonna change. It's gonna stay the same. It's just gonna evolve into something much more, spectacular, dynamic, whatever you want to call it. But it stays the same. I mean, that in my opinion.
No, a little bit of set dressing. I'll just go here since you brought it up. You were name dropping some 90s guys. You said earlier that you watched wrestling when you were a kid and that was part of what inspired you.
Mm-hmm.
So who were some of the names that you were watching that, really stuck in your head?
I mean, ECW was a big influence for me. I'm a huge NWA fan. I like old school wrestling, man. My favorite wrestler of all time is the Enforcer, Arn Anderson. He was it for me, and he was just the average guy, but he was, beating everybody up and out wrestling everybody night in and night out. For some reason, I took to that, you know what I mean? And, from then on in, I was able to enjoy other people. Bam Bam Bigelow was another big influence. But for me, it was the Attitude Era. It was ECW. It was early WCW, those types of promotions that were an influence on me, and then just watching what was around my neighborhood. Like I grew up in Northern California, so all pro wrestling was something that I knew about back then, and I don't know, it's that those were the influences for me,
Go ahead, Miranda.
Oh, no. Well, I was going to say, especially as soon as you said Arn Anderson, that made a whole lot of sense because you're a bad man. You beat people up. You take no shit. And
I don't. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean that in the best compliment too. And I think that there's so many times I think people, whether they feel compelled or, their favorite wrestler, like, is one of those bigger names, like the Hogans, the Rocks, the Austins, the Ric Flairs. But in the way that you described your, fondness for Arn Anderson and Bam Bam, for anyone who's ever watched you wrestle, it makes complete sense. Your attitude, how you present yourself, how you talk on the mic, how you carry yourself in the ring. You're just a man who takes no shit. And that carries through, that presence is consistent. So it makes 100% sense to me.
Whenever I do one of these podcasts, people talk about like gimmick, people talk about character, things like that. Papo Esco is not my name. I have a government name like everybody else, but the people are the same. I'm not a gimmick. I try to be as authentic as possible. When you see me on television or when you see me in these live events or whatnot, you see the pissed off, angry Papo Esco because it's fight time. I'm aggressive. I'm rowdy. I'm rash. I'm a loudmouth. I get it, but you see one side of me all the time. You don't see me at home when I'm interacting with my kids and it's happy Papo or sad Papo or just excited Papo. It's the same aggression. It's the same, just authentic, over the top, rah type of guy. I don't change at all. Not for nothing or nobody. I'm perfectly comfortable in my skin. If you look at my gear, I wear King Fat Boy on my belly. I'm not afraid to let everybody know that, yeah, I'm fat and I'm proud, man. You can go ahead and try to, be an overweight high flyer or whatever. I'm going to be over here punching people in the mouth, putting boots to their back, and just talking all the mad, mess that I can. You can't curse on here, right? I won't curse. All the mad.
I did.
You can.
I did. So it's
all
already
the
done.
all that. Okay, well then all that mad shit that I possibly can. Everything you see from me is super authentic. I represent my heritage. I wear, Puerto Rico on my back, and I just, I go, and that's what I want people to read from me. I don't want no one to. I don't want no one to accuse me of being fake, because I'm not. Does it make sense?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? As authentic as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I use the word presence. Not persona, not gimmick, is a presence about you that's very clear. From the moment you step out to the moment you step back, in. And I think that's why, at least for us here, we've gravitated towards that presence, because of the fact that you understand, have worked, have lived in the world of lucha libre, which is known sometimes for being very elaborate, and over the top, and you understand and know how to work that style to the point where you complement it very well with, the fact that you are having that hybrid understanding. You allow and understand those within, lucha libre to work that style, but you're also, literally a brick wall. And if they can get through you, then whatever they get, they deserve, whether it's, a win or a title. Like, if they can get through to you, they've earned it, but they still have to get through to you to do that first. And that's a feat that not a whole lot of people have been able to master.
No, I mean, it goes like this. You want a piece, you come get a piece. I'm not ducking nobody. I'm not going to run from nobody. Doesn't matter how big. There's a lot of people out there that are bigger than me in weight, bigger than me in height. It don't even matter. I don't care how small you are, how big you are. You want it, come get it. That's my mentality, whether I'm in a ring or outside of the ring. It doesn't matter, man. I'm all about the competition, and if that equates to presence to people, and that allows people to want to gravitate towards me and react to me, then shit, I'm all for it. I'll do it all day. Do it all day.
Why should you visit thechairshot.com? Thechairshot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis with attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
Hey everyone, it's Denise Salcedo here in Lucha Central with a reminder of where and when to catch all of the great network content this week. Get the full lineup and listen to all of our shows in the podcast network section of luchacentral.com. On Tuesdays, Mass Mats and Mayhem takes you inside the world of Lucha Underground as they take you weekly through the series with the benefit of hindsight and the benefit of special guests from the groundbreaking series. Check out the premiere video stream every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on the Lucha Central YouTube channel and at luchacentral.com. Then listen to it on your favorite podcast platform every Wednesday. Tuesday nights live, it's Wrestle Boss, where Fabi Chulo talks MMA and pro wrestling with special guests and listener call-ins. Visit WrestleBossLive.com Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific to listen live or call in with questions or download the show on podcast platforms on Wednesdays. Wednesday nights live on Facebook, it's Spanish show La Mesa de los Márgaros, giving you both the news and the chisme from around the lucha world. Special guests and a whole lot of fun make it one of the most talked about shows in Mexico. Thursdays, it's Straight Out of the Bodega with Papo Esco and PWR promoter Gabriel Ramirez as they have guests from throughout the wrestling world pull up to give an inside look into their careers. From indie standouts to television superstars, each week brings a new name and perspective. On Friday, it's your double dose of Lucha Central Weekly podcast, one in English y el otro en español. Lucha Central Weekly is where you'll find all the top stories of the week, both inside and out of the ring from Mexico and anywhere luchadores are in action across the globe. Be sure to subscribe and follow all your favorite Lucha Central Network series on your favorite podcast platforms, either by their own series name or subscribe to the Lucha Central Podcast Network show pages to get all of the shows in one easy feed. And please consider giving a rating to help more fans find the shows that you love. For now, this is Denise Salcedo signing off from Lucha Central. Have a great week.
Lucha-Masks.com by Pro Wrestling Revolution, bringing you, in partnership with Mask Republic, the Lucha Brothers, as well as Japanese legend Ultimo Dragon. Go to Lucha-Masks.com and fight Lucha Strong with masks from your favorite Lucha legends and Pro Wrestling Revolution luchadores. Stay safe in style and represent your favorite luchador. Get yours now at Lucha-Masks.com, powered by Pro Wrestling Revolution.
Yeah, you just
Dusty,
blew us away.
Okay. Yeah.
Dusty, you there?
Yeah, sorry, I'm having a lot of computer
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. I'll let one of you guys go ahead. Sorry.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
I can't get my
Nervous?
questions.
What's going on here?
I can't get my questions to load.
Dusty's been
Yeah,
buzzing in our ears that he's been having all kinds of computer problems.
yeah.
That's why I was asking if you were there. I just was. We can just jump right on to another one that we have for you. That way, Dusty doesn't even have to load questions because he can just start thinking of ones that he wants to ask himself. You mentioned doing a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Miranda mentioned that you do podcasts. Did you do a podcast? So tell us a little
did,
bit.
yeah.
Did. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, man, the pandemic hit everybody, right? You know, it shut everything down. You know, a lot of us couldn't wrestle, couldn't even train. You know,
Yeah.
and I still wanted to be involved in wrestling. I didn't know what else to do, so Gabe mentioned, you know, hey man, why don't you do a podcast? And I was like, I don't want to do a podcast. I don't want to do a podcast. I don't want to have that, you know, aggravation on me, that whole stress. I don't want it. But he talked me into it, so I did it, you know, and he was like, what are you going to call it? Let's call it Straight Out the Bodega. A lot of the stuff that we put together was just off the cuff, on the fly, no plans or nothing like that. It wasn't until, you know, we started messing with Kleinrock and Lucha Central Podcast Network that I was actually like, oh, snap, I need to start planning out stuff. I need to start mapping out, you know, things, and I need to start being professional about it, you know. And, you know, after like 21, 22 episodes or something like that, we had a lot of good people on there. You know, Ricardo Rodriguez came on there, Sam Adonis, Danny Limelight, Gringo Loco came on, just so many different people. And it was fun for a time, but again, it just wasn't me, you know. And as soon as I got called to start working at United Wrestling, which was during the pandemic, you know, we was doing the crowdless tapings. It started becoming less of an interest for me. And as soon as we started back, you know, at a semi full-time schedule of wrestling, then it really wasn't my thing. I keep getting asked to come back, you know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. I have something on the table right now that I'm thinking about, but you know, just some things aren't for everybody, you know. Plus, Miranda, you know, and guys, I want to make sure you guys keep a job. I don't want to just come and do a podcast and just take everybody's whole
we won't
mojo,
even,
you know. I don't want to shut you
that
guys
boy
down.
takes everything.
You know, yeah.
He takes everything.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it was fun.
Appreciate that.
Definitely fun. I do applaud you guys because there's a lot of planning and pre-planning and execution of that plan and just dealing with like the troubleshooting on the fly and all that stuff like that, man. You guys do. I applaud y'all, man. You guys do a lot of hard labor trying to put this stuff together, you know. So
Well,
Thank you. Miranda does a lot of it.
Look, that's also true, but no. It's a team effort here. We all play our part,
Yeah.
And for those who have never listened to Straight Out of the Bodega, archived episodes are available on luchacentral.com as well as Lucha Central's YouTube page and the Lucha Central Lucha Central Podcast Network on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Play, all of that. So we highly encourage our listeners to listen to the archives because there's a lot of great interviews, even just valuable lessons. And I think that's always an interesting perspective from someone in the world of wrestling when they pivot into podcasting. You bring insight and experience that us three as just fans, we only can go so deep, but you have such that valuable insight and such a really unique, strong perspective that is just refreshing and made a whole lot of sense that you had that podcast, as part of the network, because that is one of the great things about the Lucha Central Podcast Network. It's a collective of experiences and people and fandom, and it really shows a different side. And we know that you're damn good on the microphone itself. I mean, were you always someone who felt very comfortable, talking and maybe not necessarily cutting a promo, but just speaking to people, or is that something that kind of came with wrestling?
Man, I'm slick. I'm slick with the mouth. I really am. I mean, I feel very confident in saying, so I'll say right now, just for wrestling right now, at this point in time, I feel very confident that I can go promo for promo with anybody. I don't care who you can think of that is the best promo out there, whether it's MJF or anybody else in the game right now or anybody from past or whatever. I can go promo for promo with anybody. And I'm not talking about putting together this beautiful little package and scripting stuff out and memorizing your lines and knowing what your bullet points are. I'm like, right now, you put somebody in front of me and surprise me with, like an MJF or somebody like that. And we just start going at each other. I'm going to hang with them. I might not beat them, but I'm not going to lose. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to go face to face with them, mouth to mouth with them, and I'm going to do what I do best. I really feel like that. It all goes back to when I was a kid. I got in a lot of trouble when I was a kid, so I always had to be prepared to get out of it. So I was always, slick talking my mom to try to avoid the whooping, or slick talking to teachers to avoid my mom getting called, or slick talking to cops, try to, get out of going to juvenile hall. A lot of times it didn't work, but I'll tell you what, I entertained a few people on the way. I know of a bunch of times where my mom would probably whoop my ass and then leave the room and start laughing because I was, trying to get out of something. So I've always had the gift of gab. I've always had that. I can always talk to people. I don't like doing it too much because I really don't like a lot of people. I like to keep myself a lot, but I mean, when it presents itself, I can hold my own in a conversation too, So, and that translates, right?
Yeah.
That translates. Cutting a good promo is about telling a story. And it's real easy for me to tell stories. I got a ton of them. I take some stories I take from my childhood and my, troubled days or whatever, whatever time, and I'll equate that to a promo right away and just it'll relate. Cutting a promo is about relating to your audience. It's about reaching that one person. Nobody did it better than guys like Dusty Rhodes. That Hard Times promo where he was reaching out to the crowd and he's like, I need you guys to reach your hand out with me. And like I salivate for that, so I'm searching for those types of promos where people will just remember and relate and so yeah, I'm pretty good with the microphone, I think.
Outside of the podcast, how do you, what would you say the best way to market yourself as a wrestler has been? To get your name out there, to help people become aware of you?
I mean, I'm a firm believer in word of mouth marketing. getting out there, getting your name out there and talking with people, being in the audience, being in the crowd, just having them one-on-one conversations and really connecting with, if I can connect with one person, that one person will tell somebody else, and then he'll want to come and connect with me. Then I got 2 people. Those 2 people will tell 2 people. Those 4 people will tell 8 people. It always stems like, it always stems from a word of mouth marketing perspective. However, social media is a big thing right now. You got so many social media platforms.
Absolutely.
You sign up for all these platforms, put your picture out there, put your content out there, matches, promos, little daily quirks and quotes and stuff like that, and just responding to people, liking stuff that they might comment on your page, and just like interacting with them that way is the same as I think it's the same as being in their face and talking to them, but it's so much more valuable because you might be talking to somebody who lives in, India. You might be talking to somebody that lives in China. And that's wild to me. Like I can honestly say I have fans in like the Philippines and Germany, and that's wild. That's wild to me. That is ridiculously wild to me. And the only reason why that happens is, one, I'm able to ply my trade on television with United Wrestling, and I'm able to put my stuff out there on social media and use hashtags and use all kinds of different things that would get my exposure out there that much more. So people from other countries are seeing me. And it's just wild. So yeah, right now social media is definitely the biggest thing, but there ain't nothing like word of mouth marketing. There ain't nothing like getting in the trenches and just talking with the people and finding out, what their opinions are, how they're doing. So
I wonder, have you had translations of King Fat Boy into Chinese or in Dutch or in...
No, they all say the same thing. King Fat Boy. They all say the same thing. So yeah. And that's cool, right? I like that. So Wu-Tang Clan. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
Yeah.
But they'll
of course,
go.
They ain't nothing to fuck with.
Right. They'll go. They'll go to
man.
Japan. Listen, they'll go to Japan, and those people out there not knowing, probably know English, are verbalizing their word. They're rapping along the words, right? So I think it's it's more meaningful to me when these cats call me King Fat Boy instead of translating into their language, So
Yeah.
it's like they're rapping the words of a song with me. You know what I mean? So it's wild. I still don't get it. Sometimes I still don't get how I even have one fan. How I'm on this podcast and how people are even worrying about me, I should be the last person somebody worries about.
Is the universal language.
It's wild.
At that point.
Oh, it will be. Oh, it will be. Before I'm done, it will be.
Brandon?
No, I was not coming up with you. You guys were having a good rapport going, so I just thought you were going to go right into the last.
No worries. Well, that leads. Let's talk about the future and the immediate future coming up this Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, PCW Ultra.
That's
you are going to be facing Rob Shit. I had to make sure I even was like, is that his name? Rob Shit. Okay, so that, the whole cussing thing went out the door anyways. That's your opponent's name. I mean, we've seen you in PCW Ultra, of course, with Danny Limelight and Slice Boogie, but this is your one-on-one time now at Ultra, a really well-renowned promotion. And we talk about the people who have stepped foot in Ultra. Now it's your turn. So can you kind of share with us, how are you feeling going into this match in particular? And what are you anticipating for Friday the 13th?
Well, Friday the 13th, Jason ain't showing up. I am. And I'm going to cause more of a problem than that Voorhees kid ever could. The fact is back at All Systems Go, I went there for a reason. Not because I wanted to get my own shine, not because I wanted to be in the spotlight. Certainly not because I wanted to touch War Beast, but because my family needed me. So I was there. And War Beast caught a hot one. And honestly, once that happened, I saw an opportunity. I could set up shop here. I could put my work on this block and just push to the side everybody that thinks that they have work on the block. It was going to be mine. That was the goal. And the pandemic shut it down. So now here we are, Friday, May 13th, Friday the 13th, a new beginning. I'm coming back. I'm going to set up shop. I'm going to put work on everybody's block, and I'm going to even the playing field for me. Everybody else is just going to take a back seat. It's my time now. So Hammerstone, Sheik, Fatu, any of them cats, all of them cats, they all can catch the hot one that's coming, because I'm going to be synonymous with PCW Ultra before it's all said and done. And the first one on deck is Rob Shit. I don't know this cat. I don't know him from nobody. I ain't got nothing against him, but it's like I said in a post a couple days ago. I'm gonna beat the living shit out of Rob Shit, and then they're just gonna call him Rob. That's it. So it's gonna be fun though. All seriousness, I've been waiting for PCW Ultra for a while. So all seriousness, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait. Can't wait.
Well, tickets are still available. PCW returns at pcwreturns.eventbrite.com. Of course, you can find PCW Ultra on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Tickets are still available if you want to see Papo Esco kick the shit out of Rob Shit. I mean, that's in, pun intended, pun not intended, it don't matter. It sounds like business is going to be taken care of, and with a really stacked card. But as you mentioned, Papo, I mean, this seems just made for you. So we'll be waiting with anticipation on the results of that match. But, spoiler alert, I think we know how that's going to go.
I know how that's gonna go, and I think you know how that's gonna go. Otherwise, you wouldn't have said that. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out.
I mean, people can say we're biased. Who cares? We have our favorites.
Don't even matter.
And what?
And what?
And so what? And what? What are you gonna do about it?
Nothing.
But Papo, nothing, not a damn thing. Thank you so much for joining us on the Lucha Central Weekly podcast. Again, we've been, as someone who's been part of the network, as someone, especially as Brendan mentioned, we got the West Coast contingency out here. We saw you win the Pro Wrestling Revolution Openweight Championship last year. So as someone who we just love watching and see you on our screens, it was amazing having you on our show.
Appreciate that.
Dusty mentioned social media. Feel free to let our listeners know where they can find you on social media or live.
Yeah, appreciate that. Hey, before I go, though, you tell Kevin Kleinrock that I'm still waiting, because I'm the face of Wrestling Society X. And when it's rebirthed and rebooted, if I'm not the first one on that poster, he's going to have a serious problem on his hands. All right. Now, I know he hasn't said nothing about rebirthing or rebooting Wrestling Society X. It probably will never happen, but I want it to happen, so he needs to understand that. All right, social media. Hey, thank you guys. Hey, thank you guys for having me. I definitely had a lot of fun. This is always stuff like this for me is always a humbling experience, because like I'm not supposed to be here, and the fact that I am is just leaps and bounds beyond appreciative, so anybody who listens to me, anybody who messes with me, anybody who watches my matches or follows me on social media, continue to do so. For the people that don't know, you can find me on Facebook, that's Papo Esco. You can find me on Twitter, Papo_Esco. You can find me on Instagram, Papo Esco, Snapchat, Papo Esco. Go ahead and go to prowrestlingtees.com/Papo Esco and pick up a shirt. I would appreciate that. Or if you want a cameo, I'm on Cameo, www.cameo.com/Papo Esco. You want me to tell your husband that he's not cutting it in the
Right.
hit my line. I'll let him know right away. Cameo is a fun place. Cameo's a fun place, just to kind of talk mess and, interact with people. So that's about it. Again, thank you guys, man. I don't, I feel like I don't deserve stuff like this, and it's super humbling to know.
You've earned it. I told you that already. I know Miranda will back me up on this.
For
Dusty
sure.
probably will too.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Don't forget to check out Papo Esco on social media, live as well, on the Championship Wrestling as well. You can find him there on a frequent basis. Tuesday,
May 17th. Here, I'll take it over. You can take a rest. You've done a lot of work. Take a rest. All right. Tuesday,
carry me through this.
Tuesday, May 17th, Irvine Improv in Irvine, California. United Wrestling, Championship Wrestling, Dave Marquez Productions. We're back for the TV taping. It's going to be a good time. Go ahead and go to irvineimprov.com and, you can buy the tickets there. You can go to unitedwrestling.com. You can buy the tickets there. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a TV taping. You guys get to see yourself on TV, one of these weekends, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to be defending my United Wrestling World Television Championship, and I'm going to defend that well. My boy Danny Limelight's going to be in a 3-way for the United Wrestling Heritage Championship. And if I have anything to say about it or do about it, he's going to be the new, but we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Them Bodega boys, we like to rob the house. You know what I mean? We like to rob the house. We the new era of lie, cheat, and steal. Shout out to Eddie Guerrero. We the new era of lie, cheat, and steal. We just having fun.
We know you guys like gold. Everywhere you go, you get the gold. You get that.
Most Boricuas do though, right? Big rope chains. We like that gold.
We get that. We get that gold. We get that jewelry. Get that money. We get it all. Take everything. Take it all. Papo, thank you so much.
I think
Best of luck on your match.
Miranda's about to be the first woman member of the Bodega, I think.
I said it before.
Shut up. Stop it.
She's talking a little too crazy right now. I like that.
Don't play with me. Do not play with me.
Miranda to be your personal ring announcer a while ago, so she didn't bring it up to you, obviously.
I'm gonna talk to Slice and Danny. We're gonna see if we can make that happen.
Yeah.
I got you. Whatever you need, you can block. You can block me all day as well. Just no one even will know I'm there. But they'll hear me, and that's all that matters.
That's right.
Papo, best of luck this Friday the 13th at PCW Ultra, as well as the United Wrestling Network television tapings. And whatever you do, of course, we know we're going to see you at Pro Wrestling Revolution as well. And we're going to follow you on social media. So thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, follow Papo. Go get a shirt. Go watch him on TV. Do all that shit. And just follow him because he's someone to watch. Thank you so much for listening to this interview and this week's episode. For Brendan Barr and Dusty Murphy, I'm Miranda Morales, and we'll catch you later. Thank you all so much for listening to another edition of the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast. Don't forget you can check out luchacentral.com, your centralized place for all things Lucha Libre, and you can follow Lucha Central on social media at Lucha Central on Facebook and Instagram, and at LuchaCentralCom on Twitter. Don't forget, you can also check out Lucha Central's YouTube page that has tons of exclusive content, including previous episodes of the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast in English and in Espanol, as well as matches and interviews you can't find anywhere else. Stay tuned and make sure to follow us on social media, and stay tuned for new episodes of the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast. For Brendan Barr, Dusty Murphy, and me, Miranda Morales, thank you all so much, and we'll be with you next week.